A better user experience leads directly to revenue.
Yep.
We have to connect the people who are creating the actual content, not the advertising content, but the editorial content, the programming content, to the way we think about users and revenue. From the early slides you showed, that seems very high-minded. It's all about President Obama and Obamacare. It's all about the war in Syria. Is that what it's about? I mean, are users really interested in serious information? Or when you talk about quality content, what's the kind of things are you talking about?
Let me be clear. There can be quality cats. You know, it's not just about Obamacare or Syria. Those were just the things that happened to turn up in that survey. As I said, Walmart was also in there, which is a little different from the war in Syria. What it is about driving people to content that actually captures their attention. And people can go to content for a bunch of different things. They can go to be informed, they can go to be inspired, they can go to be entertained. And all of those things are absolutely fine as long as it is good quality content. And the key lessons here is about signaling to them what they're going to get. With the headline that you do, make sure that they know what they're going to get. And once they're there, give them something truly great. And that means that you can have both a high viewability on the page in general, just from the fact that people will actually scroll and read. And secondly, you have the opportunity for that refresh where you can start to do really, really interesting things with advertising.
Yeah, the most interesting part here is this idea of signaling. I mean, what I've been struck by about so much digital content is that it employs the kind of bait and switch that we saw in direct marketing in the 1920s. In fact, the whole headline style, the most amazing thing you'll ever see in the next 20 seconds. You know, I wondered why my foot was missing, and then I saw this amazing video. Yeah, and I'm wondering how it's possible that an entire industry in 2015 got captivated by something that was a specialty and a novelty exactly 100 years ago.
Well, Randall, you remember the 1920s better than I do.
Yes.
Sorry.
By the way, that's actually true. I knew people from the 1920s. Like, let me. Anyway, we'll go into this.
You are a historian, sir.
Yeah.
Look, it's really simple. It comes down to how we define value. If we say what is most valuable is the click, then we optimize for the click. And the things that work are the things that kind of like, they're the question marks, they're the you won't believe what happens next, you'll be like, see what. All of those things work really, really well for the click. They just don't tend to work terribly well for what comes afterwards. And so whilst we had that as our main metric, then sure, metrics of value define our kind of our path on this. And it was kind of almost like there was a choice, certainly on the content side of things. It felt like there's a choice between mission or metrics. You could pick one or the other. And the good thing about what's happening right now around both kind of viewability and what's going beyond that and trying to think of like real performance of advertising is that you're starting to see mission and metrics come together. You're starting to see it where you can go into a newsroom and you can say, your job is to create the best quality content possible because that makes our advertising worth more and perform better.
And we've seen this from the best digital publications. In fact, what you're seeing, and Linda Yaccarino was talking about it earlier today. I mean, it's the value and the meaning of brand in media, brand in publishing. It actually stands for this notion of, you know what you're going to get next. You may not know the exact content, but you know you're going to get some kind of there's a quality aesthetic that surrounds a media brand when it's successful. It's not just about the headline at this moment.
And also, just to kind of add on to that point, I mean, one of the most interesting things for me is that the brand signaling is not just the logo at the top of the page and so forth. I mean, one of the most interesting things for me was like trying to understand the difference between voices on different pages. We did a wonderful study with the New York Times where we looked at content which their own content brand studio, which understood the New York Times' voice and brand incredibly well, was doing versus content that was kind of given to it by agencies and so forth who wanted to kind of like just put their content out there, get the reach. And the stuff that actually understood the New York Times' voice, that was able to compete on a par with traditional content. The stuff that was being just kind of thrown over the wall, less so.
So that speaks well to the notion of branded content studios with inside publishers.
I think so. I mean, I think like one of the key things is that traditionally native advertising has tremendous challenges. And that I said 30% of people don't scroll a single pixel in normal content. With native advertising in general, that goes up to 2/3. And of the third that remains, only a third of them make it past the first third of the page. It's kind of like the third rule of native advertising. That seems to change if you have these kind of in-house content studios where they can really focus on creating wonderful experiences. There's a question about scalability with those things, but certainly from a performance perspective, much, much better.
And it's being able to price it so that it's
Absolutely.
worth it. This is fascinating. Tony is right. I did say that he could be as geeky as he wanted to be. I think this is one of the most interesting and important presentations I've ever seen on the meaning of attention throughout the digital publishing industry and the relationship between quality and revenue. Thank you, Tony Haile.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.